All right. Good evening. Okay, so just to recap what we did in our last class. Our last class, it was a general introduction to PowerPoint, where I defined it as an office application for creating and managing presentations. I defined presentation as content depending on the type of content is it as what presenting content to audience. So I took my time to explain various types of presentation to enable us know which type of presentation we want to actually create with Microsoft PowerPoint. I talk about oral presentation, which is just like the one I'm doing right now. We have a written presentation. That is the type of presentation you actually do with Microsoft Word. And we also have slideshow presentation. That is actually the type of slide presentation we want to discuss. Now, the difference between other presentation and the slideshow presentation, which is mostly created with PowerPoint, is that those other presentation does not have any motion effects. But the ones we create with PowerPoint, they have motion effects. That is why it is called slideshow. It means that it is a kind of presentation where you have movie elements. That is, you can come across pictures or write up moving within such presentation. That is actually the type of presentation PowerPoint is mostly used for. Okay, so I believe that is clarified. Now you know what presentation is all about. So when we said Microsoft PowerPoint is an office application for creating presentation, now you understand that we are talking about a presentation with motion effects. So that is what we discussed. I remember we also talked about how to access PowerPoint on the system using the icon method on the user interface, just like supposing you have the program icon added to your user interface. I said you can also use it to launch the application. You can also go through the start button, which I described as the program manager. So this particular method, going through the start button, happen to be the standard method of launching the application. But if you are able to create the program icon by right-clicking on the user interface and navigating to new, and then select Microsoft PowerPoint, a presentation from the drop-down, just like this, then it means that henceforth, whenever you want to use PowerPoint to create presentation, you have an icon representing it. So all you need to do is to just double-click on the icon, and that takes us to this the application interface. Okay, so that is what we discuss. I also mentioned different application, different area where you can actually apply the knowledge of PowerPoint. I mentioned in marketing, in digital marketing, you will likely use PowerPoint to create or prepare your slides with what you want to discuss or what you want to talk about. I said the advantage of that is that it gives you an avenue to have a lot of graphical illustration regarding to the topic of your discussion. Then it also makes it easier for you. It makes you to talk less because most of the things you will be discussing are already prepared or created within or in slides. So as you are talking, once each slide comes out, it helps you to know what to talk about per time. We also talk about that PowerPoint is largely applied in lecturing job, just like I'm lecturing you now. I'm using PowerPoint to present my content. So I also talk about in ministry, that is church. Pastors uses PowerPoint to slide scripture or probably their preaching. So we can go on and on. There are actually different areas where you can actually use a PowerPoint. Okay. So now with that understood, let's quickly dive into a new topic, which is how to create presentation. So the presentation, which is the slide show that we have been talking about since, we want to learn how to develop it from scratch, or how you can actually leverage on the team. So when I use the word team, I'm talking about already defined structure by PowerPoint that you can actually use to create your presentation. Okay, so we have basic and advanced theme or template, which PowerPoint has already put together that an expert can exploit and end up customizing them to suit what he or she wants to talk about. So let me quickly take us through that before we go into how do I develop my own presentation from the scratch. Now, if you want to access that those team, you will simply access it through the program manager. That is, you click on the start button. So from the start button, you click on, you locate where you have PowerPoint. If you cannot find it as a standalone application, you will surely find it under Microsoft Office Tools. So once you click, and then you search for PowerPoint, so you can see it. So accessing it through that channel will give us an avenue to access theme and the templates that I talk about. Now, all this you are saying, these are already built theme or template. Template means what someone have already designed. So the essence of exploring or taking advantage of the theme is to take out the hustle of designing your presentation layout or the hustle of structuring your presentation. So all you'll be doing is just to be substituting, removing their image, putting your own, removing their content, putting your own. So let's quickly go to team. So I'll click on team to explore more of this. And then from team, you can see that I have a lot of team. I have a lot of team. So depending on the contents of my presentation, what I actually want to present, that determines whether I'm to use this or to use this. So it is very important you are creative about this. You don't just use background anyhow. You have to calculate color based on the topic of your discussion. So let's assume I want to explore any of this, so at your own convenience time, take time to open them up and see what they have for you. So how do I exploit this theme? I will just simply click on it. So the moment I select any of this theme, you will notice that these are not installed theme or template. These are themes that I'm able to access because my computer is connected to the internet. So all I need to do is to click on create. So once I click on create, you will notice it being downloaded. So you wait for a while until this process is completed before you have access. So what is happening right now is trying to download it into your local machine. Now you can see we have a beautiful presentation that has been developed by PowerPoint, which I can easily customize to become my presentation. Now let's look at how do we edit this theme or template. Peradventure, I explore any of them. How do I change the content to be mine? Now, let me start with, if I want to change this presentation title, for instance, I will have to what? Highlight it and type, let's say, I want to write welcome. Let's say I want to write welcome to Digitech Zeal Hub. Digital Z Hub. So you can see that I have been able to what? To customize what came with that theme to my name. Now, another thing I need to know while I am modifying theme is for me to know how to change the font, how to change the color, how to change the size as well. You can see that this is no longer fitting. So how do I change the size? I'll simply select the frame of that text. There's difference between you have your cursor selected or you you have the frame. Now let me explain. Now, if you see that, if you look at the way I selected this text now, the cursor is not blinking, which means that at the moment I am referring to this text as an object. Okay, so once I have selected it in this object mode, I can simply come here and bold it, or I decide not to add bold. I can come here and also reduce the size. So you can see I want to break it, so I can put my cursor here and press enter. So now I have a better word presentation of this title. Is more user friendly. Now, if I want to change any of this, the same thing, you highlight it and then you impute your content. So peradventure, you don't need any of this. Probably there is a section of your theme or template that is not applicable based on your presentation. So how do I eliminate it? Just click on the frame and press delete button on your keyboard. Click on the frame, press delete button on your keyboard. So I've removed that because it has nothing to do with my presentation. Now I want to also remove this month. I will click on the frame, press delete button on your keyboard as well. Click again, press delete button. Select any part of the theme that you don't want to implement and delete it. Then remember that you have to save. You go to file and then you save as, because now you are customizing this for your own presentation. So you have to acknowledge it as your own by going through that save as. Now, of course, if you want to save, you are expected to choose where exactly within your system you want to save it. So you go to a desktop, depending on where you want to save. In your own case, you can choose to say you want to save in document or you want to save in other created folder. But let me just save on desktop. Once I've selected that, I'll come here and change and give it a unique name for identifying it. Let's say this is a digit presentation, digit presentation. So I click. So I have saved this presentation. So at the moment, it becomes my presentation. Okay. Now, if, for example, so that is just for the title. So let's assume that here I want to bring in the topic of my discussion, But before I leave this, I think I don't need this title. So I need to also what? Clear it up. Now, the reason why I highlighted it instead of clicking on the frame, because my intention is not to remove the entire frame, it's just to remove a section inside the frame. So in that case, I have to highlight only that section, because if I click here and press delete, it means I am removing everything. Okay, so let's go back here. Now, let's assume, in other words, so that is how to actually what? Customize this theme to become yours. So if I venture I am not okay with the background, I can as well what? Replace it. Okay. Now, but this is a downloaded theme. So now I just want to show us how you can download already made theme and edit the basic content to yours. Now let's go into how we can create our own from scratch. Now, let me press Ctrl N in order to to have a new slide. Now, all these are generated AI. All these are generated by the AI just because you're on the internet, so you can decide to do away with them by clicking on that icon. Now, let's discuss how to create presentation. So that is the topic, how to create presentation. So before I go into the presentation creation, I want to also give us an important information, just in case you are wondering under which platform you are receiving this lecture from. So this is a platform called Digital Z Hub. Digital Z Hub is a registered IT training company which offers training across different IT programs, 100% online via live Zoom. You want to contact us, you can reach us via our website, www.digitechz.com.ng, or you call this number 07069665919. That is also a WhatsApp number you can use to reach me directly to book your training section online. Okay, now let's quickly dive into the main business. Now, what we are looking at in this section is how to create presentation. How to create presentation. How to create presentation. So let's start by knowing what is a presentation. Like I've earlier defined, a presentation is simply what? A content or a content you want to present to audience. Now, it then means that anytime you want to design it, a slide, you want to create presentation, you need to have a focus. You need to identify the topic of your discussion. What exactly do you want to talk about? So you need to sort that out before you approach the system. Okay? Now, let's assume that I want to create a presentation that talks about computer. Presentation that talk about computer. So in that case, I'm going to start by I ought to have drafted everything. That is, I must have composed the scripts. What I am going to talk about is slide 1. What I'll be talking about is slide 2, is slide 3, is slide 4. So you must have probably, through the use of pen and paper, okay, so like I was saying, what exactly you want to talk about. So that is what you need to put in place before you approach PowerPoint. Well, let's assume, like I said, we want to discuss on what is computer. We want to teach people, or we want to say something about computer. So I'm going to start with designing the background of my presentation, just like I emphasized before. So designing the background, I don't want to start sketching the background, because I understand that I can actually get some of this background from Google. So which is part of what you are expected to know. So let me quickly go to Google and research on background that can be used to create presentation that talks about computing or computer. So when I get to Google, I am going to search. So I'm going to ask Google to suggest some fantastic background. So I need to use a very strong keyword. So I could just say presentation, or let me just say background, or let's say presentation background for computer. So in other words, I want to talk about computer. So let me see what Google will be able to suggest. Okay, so I have very good background here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to expand the images by going to what? Images. So click on this. And then from here, let's say we want to use this. So you have the choice of choosing any of this background, actually. So I can actually choose from any of these picture depending on the message. So let's say I want to get this image. I will just right click on it and select save image as. Let me keep it on desktop. Let's say piece 1. Then click on save. Then I will have to switch back to my PowerPoint and then call in the image. So how do I call in the image? So all I will do is to go to insert. So from insert, then you click on picture. Then to ask you where do you have the image. So you go to desktop. And then from here, I'll search for that picture. Search for that picture, which is this. And I'll click. So I have the picture here. Okay. Now, why I don't want to use this is that there are some information that are already scribed in it, so it will not make sense. So let me go back to desktop and use the one with plain background, the one without any write-up. So let me choose this. So I will just do the same thing, save image as, choose where you want to save it. So let's say this one is piece 2, and then save as well. Then go back to the PowerPoint, go to insert, select picture, then navigate to the desktop, then search for that same picture, piece 2. So I could just click here. All right, so what I'm showing us is how they actually put those teams together. So you can, on your own, develop this team-like background or presentation. So you just increase it, make sure that it's filled the entire interface. So I want to send it to the back of this layout because I have another image there, so it doesn't cover it. So I will select send backwards. So that brings out the logo. Okay, so this is assumed to be the first slide. Now, the first slide is expected to describe you or the presenter. So how do I impute the presenter information here? So I'll just go to inserts and then select WordArt. So WordArt is a writing tool in Microsoft PowerPoint, which allow us to write creative text. Okay, because this is presentation design. So you have to make sure that your presentation element, being it text or shape, has to have a touch of creativity. So let's assume I want to pick from any of these galleries. I could just click anyone. Then what happens is that the appearance of that word art is what you get once you type. So let's say computer presentation, computer presentation by Egwero. Prosper. The year 2025. So let's assume this is the title of my presentation. So how do I modify the color? Now, color combination matters a lot when you are dealing with design, being it presentation or graphic design. So long it is called design, you have to be mindful of the colors you use and the font you use. So how do I change this font, this WordArt text font? So the same thing, you can as well manipulate the font with your regular font. So you can come here and choose creative and user-friendly text or font. So let me choose this. And then for the color, I would like to use one of the color that will probably align with the background. in order to balance it. So let me come here and choose text color. Let's say this. Good. So this goes with part of the color I have here. Okay, now your layout, the presentation of your content, how you are laying them out matters a lot, because it's either make it difficult for the users to go through or make it easier for them to understand what you are talking about. So the layout, let me see if I can make it just 2 layers. So I'll just take this one, add it to this. I think this is the best layout. It's better because everything actually looks scattered before. So let me see if I can still increase the size. The size is already increased. So let me leave it at this. Now, I may not want the line color, because if you look at this text now, you will notice that it has a kind of line effect. If I don't want it, so that I could just focus on the text color, you click on it, go to the same format, and then go to where you have text outline. So click here and say what? No outline. So that will make the text more visible, a kind of. All right. So that is the end of this. So now how do I create the next slide? So the next slide is where I'm going to start with the definition of computer, which I am presenting. So in order for me to replicate this same background so that I won't start from scratch, I will simply right click on the one from the left pan. Remember, we discussed that the whole of this session is called the left pan, where you have the smaller version of the slide. Okay, so it's equivalent to where you have the list of your pages, and even you are working in Microsoft Word. So this is just like slide 1, then you can add other slide. So like I said, to replicate this, I will just right click on this very one, not on the slide itself, on the left pan. So right click on it and select duplicate slide. So which means that I have automatically inherited the design of that slide 1. But my intention is not to use it to display the same content. So I will simply highlight this content. I will write what is computer. What is computer? What is computer? So that is what we want to talk about. So I can reduce the frame. Mind you, there's a way you reduce the frame. When it's shorter than the length of the write-up, it will break it. So if you want it to be on one line, then you also want to expand it. So I will check if it is like this, which one is better. I think this is better, so that I can put computer picture here if I want. But if I don't want, these computer pictures might be enough for me to portray the message. So I could just increase it. If it's too big, it's not also good for eyes reading. So just make sure that your font are moderate. Okay, so let's assume that I want to bring in another picture so that you learn how to embed pictures in your presentation. So let's go to Google also and look for a better picture. So let's say I want to use this picture. So I will simply, I want to use this picture, but I want to cut off this part. This part is not useful to me. So I just want to get just this section. So what I'm going to do is that I will just come to the search box here and type SN. So once you type SN, it will bring out this very tool. Tap on it. That is used for window screenshotting. So click on new. It will invert the entire interface. You may not be seeing me at the moment, but what I'm doing is that I am highlighting the section of the picture that I want. So you can see that I've been able to extract out the area of that picture I want. Now I have to go straight to PowerPoint and then click somewhere, Control V, then to paste that image here directly. So to increase the picture, you use the node. Just click and hold down on the edge of any of these. Then you can stretch it a little. Now, I will ask myself, if I am to present it in a square shape, just like as it is now, is it better? Or I should present it in as an oval shape, just like a cycle. So what I'm going to do is just to select it. Now, once you click on any object you create, it will display some formatting or transformating functions, which you can access under format. So from here, you come to this section, which is titled Picture Style. Now you click here to see other options. So I can choose to use this soft edge. So this one makes it look more user-friendly and more professional. So I could just place it and then place my picture here. Now, you can also swap the positioning. You can decide to say, okay, let the picture be here while the text be here. So it's your choice. So let's assume this is all about this slide. So I also duplicate again. Then what I want to do here is to define the computer itself. So I will just delete this particular text and retain this picture. I could just make it smaller a little and put it by this side. Then go back to my Google and search for what is computer that we search for earlier on. So let's say what is computer. I hit enter.